And on this one famous night, as we're in 1958, I was lying in bed on a Friday night, waiting for this vibration to end so I could go to sleep. And as I was lying there, thinking about what I was going to do the next day, while this vibration got through doing what it was supposed to do, I was thinking how nice Saturday morning was going to be, because we had had what we call a cold front come through, and there would be strong northwest winds, and there would be great thermal action. So, being much into sailplanes and gliders at that time, the soaring was going to be tremendous. And as a result, this was my sense of great joy and anticipation as I was waiting for this vibration to end. And as I waited and waited and thought how nice this is going to be, suddenly I felt something bumping against my shoulder. And that, of course, is part of the history, when I discovered that what I was bumping against was the ceiling of my bedroom. And that bumping turned around, and I did not know where I was till I saw this funny sort of a fountain coming out of what I thought was the floor. And I thought, where am I? This is a funny kind of dream. And I looked more closely, and I thought, there's something terribly wrong. This is not a fountain, this is the chandelier, the light fixture coming out of the ceiling. So I looked around, and sure enough, down there in the bed below me was my wife lying in bed, and beside her was a man in bed. And I says, what kind of dream is this? This is a strange dream. Whom would I think of who would be in bed with my wife? And I said, I can't resist finding out. So I moved a little closer, and then this great shock came over me, because the person in bed with my wife was me. And then the fright came, the terror. What am I doing? Am I dying? Let me get back quick, something. So I went through the air like this, swimming through the air to get back to the body, and pang, got back in the body. That was the first time that I, in turn, found out. And then very quickly I sat up, and everything was quiet. My heart was racing because I was excited, but everything else was fine. My wife's asleep, quiet, nothing, no problem. So that is exactly how it began, all the way back in 1958.
If you, well, the people watching this program at home now are tuned on their television set to TVS. In the room around them, also, they're not aware of it, they can't see it, are the frequencies of BBC One, BBC Two, Channel 4, satellite television, radios 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, all the telecommunications equipment, etc., etc. They can't see them, but they are there. And neither can any of those other frequencies see or be aware of all the others. But if you tune your set to the frequency you want, in this program's case TVS, that's what you get.
But you know that if you have a radio in your living room, and it's you have all frequencies in your living room, BBC, Radio Moscow, ABC, but your radio is tuned to one frequency. You're decoherent from all the other frequencies. You're only coherent with one frequency.
Right.
We now believe that the universe is vibrating, and that there are vibrations of different universes right in this room. There are the universes of dinosaurs, because the comet didn't hit 65 million years ago. They're the wave function of aliens from outer space, looking at the rubble of an Earth that already was destroyed, all in your living room, except we have decohered from them. We're no longer in tune with them. We don't vibrate with them. Therefore, our universe is tuned to one frequency, right. Our universe. But it means that probably there are other parallel universes in your living room, and believe it or not, this is called modern physics. Now, we don't like to tell chemistry students and first-year students the idea of parallel worlds, because it would upset them. You know, they might go crying, you know, crying to their mother. But hey, get used to it. This is the modern interpretation of the quantum theory, that many worlds represents reality.
Vicki Noratuk lives in Tacoma, Washington, and has been blind since birth. She claims that the only time she's ever seen herself was when she was dead.
I was in a very terrible car accident, and I had a skull fracture and a concussion, neck injury, back injury, and leg injury, and I was dead for 4 minutes.
As the medical team in the emergency room tried to revive Vicky, she was watching and listening to everything they said.
I was up on the ceiling looking down at everything that was happening. I have had no idea what it was like to see, and at first it was foreign and weird and pretty scary.
Dr. Jeff Long from Tacoma General Hospital is an expert in out-of-body research and believes Vicky's experience was a near-death experience.
At the time, they're clinically dead. They're able to see and hear what's going on in their environment around them while they're not breathing and their heart is absolutely not beating.
When I was up on the ceiling, I saw this body down there. I noticed that the hair was waist length like mine, and then I recognized my wedding ring, and I thought, that's my body down there.
Some studies suggest that about 18% of people resuscitated after cardiac arrest have had near-death experiences.
And in this section, I want to talk about some of the aspects of this matrix, this mind prison that we actually live in, and how we create it, and how it's manipulated so that our reality becomes the reality the manipulators want us to have because it suits their agenda. And part of that is realizing that we are not physical bodies, whether they're black, white, or sky blue, pink. That's not what we are. That's a vehicle to experience this reality. We are consciousness, infinite consciousness, that never dies. That word does not exist in consciousness. And therefore, if we consider ourselves to be physical people, there is no David Icke. David Icke is just a name for an experience infinite consciousness is having in this reality. That's all it is. It's just an experience. And if we start identifying with David Icke and Joe Bloggs, we get pulled into seeing ourselves as little insignificant people. Oh, I'm just Joe Public, I am, what can I do? And that's why we're constantly pushed into that disconnected state where we identify who we are with what we're doing. People, it's kind of funny, isn't it? Where people identify who they are with their job. They say, like, what are you? Oh, I'm a coal miner, I sweep the streets, I'm an airline pilot, I actually am in the City of London. And then we kind of judge who they are, and they judge who they are by what they're doing. It's just an experience. That's all it is. I mean, how many people go up to someone and they say, hey, hello, nice to meet you, who are you? And you say, I'm everything that exists, nice to meet you. We don't do that. I mean, in a sane and enlightened world, the other guy would say, hey, yes, so am I thought I recognized you.
Can this help people if they learn this out-of-body experience? Can it help them when they die, or they think they're going to die, or their time's up in this life?
There's a major discovery that comes with the result of such activity or practice. Without any equivocation, without any going past hope, belief, faith, you know that you do survive death. This changes your overview, your perspective. You have that knowledge, and it's not a religious thing, it's not a philosophical thing, it's a very, very pragmatic thing, that you do survive physical death.
And you also, as it says in your book, can take terminal patients and relieve them of their pain by getting them to work
This is what
out
we do.
of body.
We let them establish a beachhead where they're going so that they're totally familiar with where they're going, and then their fears evaporate completely, and they make nice, neat plans with some friends of theirs there to have a welcoming party, as it were.
So you're not afraid of dying at all, are you?
Well, yes, I don't particularly want to. I have too much to do here, but I'm not afraid of it. I would think I would get rather irritated that if I had to die now, I'd be irritated.
Is it possible, since you've had these out-of-body experiences, you know how you're going to die? Have you seen yourself die yet?
Yes and no. I should give you one illustration that is important to me. I've passed the 20-year mark in this exploration, and I think that I have done this for two reasons. One, to prove that you can do this and still stay physically alive. And the second is that you can do this and still stay reasonably sane.
Two important points, I might add.